welcome to Fearless Authenticity with me, Jeanne Sparrow, where we find our biggest sources of success in who we truly are. These are conversations and meditations on what it looks and feels like when we use our unique gifts to find our passions, make our dreams come true, and engage with the world in the way we were created to serve. Now, I do hope this gets deep because that's where we find the good stuff, but let's not get it twisted. This is all about the fun of life, because if it ain't fun, it ain't worth doing. So if you're ready, as I always say, let's be brave, be free, be you together. My guest today is the president and CEO of Sovereign Brands. It's a family-owned international wine and spirits company that produces some of the world's hottest brands, including the smash hit Luc Belaire line of French sparkling wines, Yum, and a number of critically acclaimed craft spirits, as well as the creator of the famed Ace of Spades champagne and D'Ussé Cognac. This man was also named one of the 100 most intriguing entrepreneurs by Goldman Sachs, and his branding genius is reflected through his company's values, cultures, and partnerships. He is known for his self-made interviews with the world's biggest celebrities, from recording artists to athletes, actors, TV personalities, and influencers, all fans of all of Sovereign's brands. He's also the proud father of 6, and I am honored to welcome to the Fearless Authenticity podcast, the one and only Brett Berish, who I am convinced is the real life embodiment of the world's most interesting man. Was it based on you, Brett?
I've heard it before. I don't know. But I tell you, I'll take that intro and I'll take it to the bank because that's worth something. Thank you for that wonderful intro.
Oh, you are welcome. You know what? I have worked with a lot of comedians in my life, and it's all about the intro. It's all about the setup. It's all about knowing who you're talking to and making sure everybody else knows who they're listening to. And that's what I want it to be about. And there are so many places where I could start with you, just in the things that I've read about you, some of the stuff I've been seeing you do. Oh, and let's do a cheers. Real quick, our Bumbu.
Cheers.
We both for doing
Bumbu,
it.
Cheers.
And didn't even plan it. How'd you know I was a rum girl?
I think there's something I got something in my that Batman belt for everybody. How's that?
I love it. One of the things that I find interesting about you is that you started in even though your family has been in the beverage industry for a long time and you grew up in it, you didn't actually start working in it until you were in your 30s. And so I'd love to hear about what that path was like for you, especially when it comes to what you feel you were meant to do in life and the things that you did before, because I'm sure there were a lot of things you tried out before you got to create Sovereign Brands. How did that concept of who you were and what you were meant to do change once you got to Sovereign Brands, or before that? Like, was it pressure from the outside in, or was it from just internal doubt?
It's such a big question. And actually, you said something in your intro that I picked up on, which is, I think, really, really important. You know, knowing who you are, or being comfortable with who you are. And I think for me personally, and everyone's different, I'm still learning. I'm still trying to, there's a space when you talk to people where you like I could be having a conversation with a few, I'm going on a tangent, so sorry.
No, don't apologize for that. I'm the tangent queen.
So I sometimes you talk to people and you don't like who you are in that moment. And then you talk to other people and you love who you are. Or it could be dressing the way you really want to dress. And I think, to me, I'm trying to answer your question. I think it's, for me personally, it's ever evolving, trying to be comfortable with who I am and who I want to be. And I think that takes, everything has been, it's trusting yourself, it's trusting your instincts, it's gut feelings, it's learning, it's improv. Improv is, and I learned this talking to a comedian, and you mentioned improv. It's, the one thing I love about comedians is if they hone in, if they do a joke one night, they'll do the same joke the next night, but play off what they learned from the audience, and they'll fix it. And then they learn the next night and try it a little bit different and try a little bit different. And I think that's me. in the sense of I'm evolving, trying to be a better me. It's a long-winded way of saying I'm still evolving, but I was late in life doing this. I was lost for years. And I tell everybody this, there's some people who just know what they want to be when they grow up. I didn't know. I had too many ideas and I was always afraid of picking one because I figured that's not the right idea. And what happens if that's the wrong one? There's a couple of moments in my life where I made that decision, and that was one of them. I'm going to do this. I really want to do this. I really want to focus on this. And that was a pivotal moment of saying, I don't care about anything else. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go do it. I have to stop worrying about everybody else and just think about me.
I love that. Because, I'm a fairly new entrepreneur. This year will mark 5 years in business for me. And I can't wait to get there because I think that's when I'll feel a little more solid in it. Although I don't know. And I'm okay with the journey process finally, because I think it takes us a while to get used to that concept that life is a journey and there is no destination, which it sounds like that's what you're saying. And when did you fully accept that, or have you accepted that it's just the journey, or is that what the pivotal moment was back in your 30s?
No, I think, as I said, I think there are moments. I think that the second moment was probably 5 or 6 years into this company when I had investors. I raised money they wanted to blow up the company. They didn't like the direction. They didn't believe in it. And I remember the moment where I remember calling my mother, who's my hero, and telling her, they want to stop the company. We're going to wind it up. And she said, literally, Brett, I'll sell all my rings for you. I'll put more money in for you. And I said, it hit me at that moment where I loved what I was doing. And it isn't about the money anymore. It's just about if I could just survive, I'd be happy. And at that moment, Jeanne, it just slowed down. It's not about how quickly you get there. It's about having patience, and eventually you'll get there. Some people are lucky. It happens really quick. So others, it takes a long time. But if you love what you're doing, and it sounds corny, it's real. If you love it, everything else is just, don't worry about it. And I think that's where patience was. That was another big moment for me, just having some patience.
Why is your mother your biggest hero? I mean, anybody that'll sell all their rings is a pretty big hero. But what is it about your mom and the way she brought you into this world and supports you? What is it about her that makes her your hero?
Well, and I'm very transparent. We didn't have a great relationship, in the early years of childhood, but that's normal. But everybody needs somebody in your corner, in your team, who's just behind you, who's there for you, who's saying you can do it. And she's a fighter. She's fearless. She's tenacious. She's 90 plus years old. She rollerblades every day. She wears my brands on her hat, on her shirt, her sweatshirt. She's got her own business cards. So she'll go up to anybody and start talking about the brands. But that fearlessness gives you fight. And she gives me that fight. She gives me that feeling that I can be different, and that's okay. But everybody you need to have people in your corner fighting for you. And she's always, I love my dad to death. He's in this business. He grew up he was spent 45 years in the same industry, but it's my mom. She's my fighter. She's my believer. She's my inspiration. And it sounds corny, but God, she was there for me.
Truth is truth, man. Corny or not, love is love. I'm here for it because I do believe that that's true, because it also, I think, teaches us how to do it for ourselves, because it's so hard to find that base of power internally at first, at least for some of us. Maybe some people are born with that, but it's like knowing the power, because we all have it. It's just about knowing it and acting on it and believing in it. And I'm always fascinated to find when people have that and it's very clear who that one person is in their lives, and how that ends up transferring to you. Things you do.
But I think the beauty is, it's funny. I have a presentation that I do to whoever I'm speaking to. It doesn't matter who. And the cover page of the PowerPoint presentation is my mother. It's like 9 different pictures of her. And she's all, as I said, she's wearing my brands. And it literally says across the front, We are different. And just the fact that, and again, I'm corporate. I may not look it, but I'm corporate. I'm buttoned up. I cross the T's, dot the I's, very structured. But just being able to say, you know what, this is my cover page. I'm owning me, and I'm okay with showing her because that's what matters to me. Just accepting that is it's empowering. And it gets back to this idea of what you first said is knowing who you are and accepting who you are. That's half the battle. To me, that's half my battle is owning up to what I am and not and just trusting that. And I think that's what entrepreneurs are. And you got to trust that. Otherwise, why are you doing it? Why are you doing it?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because I think for me, if I had to ask that question, why am I doing it? Because I feel driven to, it's like, I don't know what else to do. And one of the things I love about what you've been doing, especially as you step more into the spotlight for Sovereign, it has been focusing on entrepreneurs and talking to them and talking to all these different podcasts and connecting with people in businesses that aren't always seen as partners for beverage companies. I think beverage companies have been super smart in how they've partnered with different influencers and different segments of populations that do consume adult beverages. But what you're doing feels more like a mission. When I look at it, when I see the different podcasts you've been on and the things that you talk about when you are doing speaking engagements and things like that, what is it that is behind that mission when it comes to connecting with all these different kinds of entrepreneurs?
I think it gets back to this idea that frustration when you're starting out, where pick me, like I'm the choose me, back me, give me that job. And what often happens is, the corporate world or any establishment always picks the biggest or in perceived best. And that's not me. That meaning I wouldn't fall into that, but I'm telling you, I will do better than everyone else. And I have more drive than everyone else. And I don't want to pick the best. I want to pick people that I just believe in, and they've got a chance to make it. They've got a chance to do something different. They're their own spokespeople. All the corporate world out there picks the same people over and over and over. To me, it's give everyone else a chance. So that's my mentality. I want to give other people a chance where they're not getting the dollars, they're not getting the recognition, they're not getting the focus. If anything, they're the real ones to me. I don't know if I answered your question, but
you did.
It's a personal thing. Everything I do, Jeanne, is very organic in the sense of I want, I guess that's the second layer is I want people who love what we're doing, who understand what we're doing, who embrace what we're doing. It's not a check. It's not a transaction. This is a relationship. It's no different than marriage. It's no different than family. I want it to extend longer than anything else. And as long as we both see it eye to eye, it's going to last a long time.
Right. A lot of your celebrity partners are like that. It's too, like Rick Ross, you've been working with him for 10 years longer than that?
And I love him to death. And he's a great example of, he's not only a great example of, one is I need to be around people that motivate me, but two, he's the example that I tell everybody, at least in the music space, go focus on this guy because he knows how to do it. He's a grinder. If success happened today, he doesn't care. It starts over again tomorrow. He goes after things when he sees something he wants mentality. That's what everyone should aspire to, not sitting back and waiting for people to come to you. No, man, it's just the opposite. Go after them. They appreciate it that much more. That's what Ross did to me. He loved my brand Belaire. He found it 2 years after the brand was launched, loved it. He chased me. He courted me. He wanted it. But that tells me, God, I want to work with this guy. That's the relationship I want to have.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. One of the things I think is interesting about your entrepreneurial spirit is that you don't follow the same rules that people tell you. Because one of the things, and I'm gonna do a personal share right now. When I first started my business, a lot of things I do, because I started in radio and TV, a lot of things I do are based on my kind of a gut feeling about something and what I know about people. Like I know this. I know this is what people need. I know these things. And even though I had kind of a sketch of a plan, everybody was like, "Oh, you need to have this, 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 and that. It has to be this way." And I saw in one of the interviews, or read in one of the interviews you did, where you talked about not having a plan, and you just mentioned that word organic. And I've also found it to be really helpful for me because it helped me pivot during the pandemic when all my clients left, and and rightfully so, they didn't know what was going on either. And because it's like every year that I've been in business, a different product that I use or a different service that I sell has changed because of what my customers have told me,
Yep.
my clients have told me. And I don't often share that with people unless I think they're going to already, like, because I don't want to get beat up about it, because I got beat up about it early on.
Sure.
What is your experience with that sort of thinking, and even the fight to say, I know I'm right. Why y'all keep telling me I'm wrong?
Sure. I have to break it up into two parts. One is if I'll use Ace of Spades, Belaire, Bumbu. Belaire is the single biggest. We just passed Moet and Veuve is the single biggest champagne sparkling in the United States.
Congratulations!
It's amazing. That's
so awesome.
But Jeanne, going back to your point about trusting your gut, everybody in my industry told me, don't do this. This brand will not work.
That's the bottle I finished last weekend.
And all my brands have one thing in common. Everyone who's smarter than me, who's been in this industry longer than me, has told me it's not going to work. Whether it's Ace of Spades or it's Belaire, Bumbu. With Belaire, they said, you're nuts launching rosé first. You have to do a brut, because in the champagne category, everyone starts with a brut, then you launch rosé, and then a demi-sec and a blanc de blancs.
Rosé all day.
But then they said, don't put it in a black bottle because you can't see the liquid. And then they said the pricing's not right. We're now the single biggest brand in the United States. It's in 80 countries. And I think my hard part was, first and foremost, 6 years, 7 years earlier, I would have changed everything, because they're smarter than me. They know better than me. They have the industry experience. They have the knowledge. And it hit me, I have to stop that. Because I'm in it for, if anybody is going to F this up, I want it to be me. And I trusted my instincts. I can listen and maybe I can pivot a little bit, but I got to believe in the brands. And that's the first point, is you got to trust your gut. You have to. The second one, which you hit on, which I do believe is this idea of, and I've said this, is sometimes not having a plan is a good plan. And all that means is, like, the brand is done. Like, the liquid's great, the story is great, the bottle's beautiful, it has pedigree, it's got all the bells and whistles, but I don't know what I have yet until I put it out there. And I equate that to my kids. And you mentioned I have 6 kids, and I have my son who's 8, is amazing at math, amazing at reading. He can't draw. He can't write worth crap. My daughter is an amazing artist. She can dance and sing, and her drawings are just amazing. She's terrible at math and terrible at reading. And what do you do as parents? You push them in what they're good at. You lean in on what they're good at, and then you backfill later. To me, that's what they're brands. My brands are just like them. You don't know what you have. They're both great, but you don't know what you have until you let it go. And that's what I mean by kind of, pivoting constantly. Because if you have a plan and you're wrong for 2 years, you're wrong for 2 years. You can't do that in today's age. You gotta kind of have to feed off of what's working by being really close to it and micromanaging, just like a parent would with a child. If that makes any sense.
It makes total sense. absolute sense, because what I'm sitting here thinking about is the thing that I talk to my clients about when it comes to, who they are, the value they have, and being able to just stand in that and have that be the thing that they're communicating no matter what they're saying. And that is the truth in the brand, right? Because I think that that's sort of what you're tapping into when you talk about that. Like, there's a couple things I saw that you said, that the brand is bigger than what's in the bottle. And that the brand has to have a meaning to it. And to me, that meaning is truth. And that the other thing that struck me was, it was something you recently posted on Insta, and you said, if you don't respect it if you give it away, that when you give everything away, it loses its value, and saying no is a powerful thing. Talk to me about, because a lot of people have credited you with being a brand genius, which you are, to me, at least from my perspective. I don't know if that's how you see yourself in your function, but talk to me about the truth that is in a reputation, because branding became such a buzzword that people were like, I got to create my brand. Be like, boo, you already your brand. Just express it. But that's hard in today's world.
Yeah, I think, well, let me first start out by saying there's many different ways to be successful. There's many different ways to build brands. And there are huge other people in the space and big companies in the space that have different strategies or different platforms to get there. For me, it's very organic. It's a feeling of, someone said it seems like you have a ton of passion for what you do. I can't fake how I feel about what I do and what my brands and what I think they mean to me and the aura that I think they give. And I want that to resonate. So that to me is the most important element is, and when I said about, you can't give it away, to me, it hurts the brand. Meaning, if you are giving it away constantly, what do you have then? You don't have anything. And it's about respecting. I joked, I was telling somebody in Atlanta, I was on a podcast and I ate at this restaurant called Rosie's before I had gotten to the podcast. And I had said, imagine if I went into Rosie's and before I sat down, I said, can I try your French toast before I want to sit down and go eat? Like, that doesn't happen. But in my space, it does, where you've got to constantly give it away in order to get respect on it. And to me, that's not what I'm after. And I think that's where it comes back to this idea of I'll get there mentality, appreciate what it is we've created. It is special. It is unique, and own that. And then that's something that the next person will share with somebody else. And so I believe in that. If connectivity is a word, it's connecting things. It's my dad always said, and I own this, and you'll like this, is, Brett, you can't buy cool. You either are or you're not, but you can't buy it. And I believe in that. I wholeheartedly believe in that. I can't pay my way into success. I don't know how to do that. Or at least I don't know how to do that. How's that?
Yeah. Because, I don't know if it's possible or not either. Because it's, and cool is also other people's definitions of things. Like, somebody called me cool the other day and I was like, okay, thank you. I was like, thank you. I feel so honored. Like, I don't know because when I grew up, I didn't feel like I was cool.
Sure.
Even if other people may have thought I was cool, you know what I'm saying? But I think that that's true of, just like it's true for products, that's also true for ourselves. When it comes to everything you just said, not just about the buying of the cool, because you could use any adjective right there. You can't buy your way into being something. Either you are that thing or you're not, or you become that thing, but you certainly don't purchase it off of a shelf. Because if that was the case, I think we'd all do it because it's easier.
But Jeanne, and for anybody who's listening, everything I'm saying is based on me early on doing the opposite.
Interesting.
So everything to me is about failing and learning from that. So I'm not coming at this from a place of this is what I've always believed. No, everything I've said is based on, I didn't trust my gut. I tried to buy my way in. I tried to conform to what everyone else said, or how they look at things, or how I should do things, or where I should go. And those are the wrong moves, because again, it gets back to that idea of what you originally said in the intro of, trusting who you are and how you want to be mentality, which is to me a very difficult thing. Very difficult thing.
It's a lifetime of things, because even as much as I talk about this thing of fearless authenticity and have been pushing it out there and trying to get other people to see it, it's an ongoing work for myself too. Like I keep finding new layers, and this podcast has actually helped me find new ones, because as I talk to people from different walks of life and different backgrounds, not only do I continue to see, which is something I've always believed, that we're all more alike than we're different, but also I find new ways and new doorways to walk through to find out more about myself and what I'm actually capable of.
And I'm sure you pick up the way you just described it, the same thing I do when I talk, and I need to talk to people because I need that energy. And the last person I talked to, he's a up and coming singer named Aspect Zavi, and he said something that I just love, which is, I look at my apartment, and my apartment, I don't have all my furniture yet. It's uncomfortable, but I need to be uncomfortable, because if I'm comfortable, then I'm not grinding hard. And like that little moment, boy, I own that right then. I loved it. I can feel it. I want to drive that. I'm going to share that with my team. Like that's the energy I work off of, in the sense of it makes me feel good that I'm still learning. And I think that's a powerful thing. Like I'm going to continue to make mistakes, and I'll have bad ideas, but I continue to learn from things that inspire me.
Oh my God, Brett, you are preaching to the choir over here, because I just had a conversation with a friend, and I actually did this with a client, talked about it with a client, was comfort is your biggest enemy. That there are times to rest. There are times to rejuvenate and things like that. But when you get comfortable is when you stop trying.
Correct.
And then the other piece about failure, I remember when I first started my business, the TV show I was on had been canceled, and I was still under contract, so I couldn't work anywhere else. So I started my business, and I couldn't work anywhere else on air except on radio. And one of my old coworkers called me back to work at the station where I am now. And I'm, he was just like, you wouldn't be interested in coming back part-time, would you? And I said, you know what? Absolutely. And let me tell you why. Because I fail every fucking day. Every day as an entrepreneur, I fail. But I need one win a week, and I know I can get it in that damn studio. Correct. And the thing that I thought that, and the thing that has helped me do is get comfortable with the discomfort of being a failure every day. Because like every day I screw something up, Brett, every day. And I finally stopped beating myself up about it a few years ago.
And I think, and again, I had this conversation with somebody, it's amazing to me how successful people they want you to assume they've always been. They don't want to, they just want you to assume that that they've just always been, huge in some way. And to me, that doesn't resonate. I need to hear the failure side. And I think the more I embrace that side, the stronger I feel, because that's real. That's real at the end of the day. I interviewed Nipsey, and I love that story with Nipsey, because I asked, he said, Brett, I learned early, I gotta pop my trunk. And I didn't know what that meant. And I said, what does that mean? He's like, I got to go to the corner, just like everyone else I ever saw, and just open my trunk and sell my goods. I can't have vanity involved in this. I gotta do. And I get it. Like, I'm not afraid to get dirty. I have to. I'm not afraid to be, of the failure side, because that propels me. And I think the more I can share that with my team, that, this was my idea, it didn't work. But okay, let's move on to the next one. This is my idea, it didn't work, but the next one may. So it's those types of things that I think are very empowering. And again, you got to pick your spots. People are gonna, maybe there's something that someone is going to hear from this that, boy, I can do this, or I can, failing's okay. But you just gotta start over again. That's what it is.
It's like what you just said that Rick Ross talks about. Like, yeah, I won today, but what am I going to do tomorrow? And this is a constant theme through every successful person that I've talked to on this podcast. All of them talk about, from the athletes to the CEOs to everybody, that, okay, I won, but I'm not learning anything from that winning other than I'm great. Okay, great. But what am I going to do tomorrow, kind of thing. And, oh God, there's so much in there. Like, as the kids say, there's a lot to unpack there. But do you think, now, let me ask you this. Do you think that part of this is our culture as Americans, that this idea, especially when we talk about social media culture now, that has probably heightened this idea that we have to be fully formed and believe in our success, and that failure is a bad thing, knowing good and damn well all of us have had failures along the way?
I think it gets back to, as I said earlier, there's not one way to get there. Mm-hmm. There's so many different ways, and again, everyone, you can get there by saying I'm always been, and maybe they have. You can get there. And if that's what they need to drive them, God bless them. Like, that's their North Star. I think it comes down to, again, I'm going to say it, what you originally said, the intro. It's about who you are and what works for you. And, the more you can own who you are, because then you're not trying to be somebody else or conform to somebody else. Like, it works for me. I need to hear the shit that people went through, because that's what drives me. I need to, I feel good about sharing I tell people this. I had Jeanne, in the early days of trying to keep my business afloat, I stopped paying taxes. Because I could put more money in the business, and who knew, but the IRS could find you, and they swept my bank account. So then I put my salary in my then girlfriend, who's now my wife's name. I lost my house. I stopped paying my mortgage because I put it into my business. And back then you had a marshal come and put literally a lock on your door. Like, I embrace those things because that's me. That's how I got here. That was the real side. My one big purchase, and I'll never forget it, was we used to fake that my apartment was my office, because I need to have an office, but I can't afford an office. So my apartment was my office. We would pretend it's an office. And one day, Scott, who still works for me, said, it's the middle of summer in New York. He's like, Brett, he took off his shirt. He's like, we need air conditioners. We have no air conditioners. It's summer. It's hot. And I put down money, and it cost me like $1,500 for two 10,000 BTU air conditioners. But I remember that moment. I had enough money to pay for that. Like, that's my drive. I can't run from that. That's who I am. And I think if that gets the next Brett Berish or the next Jeanne out there off their ass to say, it's okay. Yeah. It's okay. I'll get there.
Yeah, I guess because, and you're 100% right. Maybe there are people who did spring fully formed. I want to meet them and understand that journey, because I'm sure there's problems in that journey as well. It's just that I feel like I run into more people who feel like failures because they have failed.
Well, so I have a good story. So I spoke at a Citibank conference for what they call it, not trendsetter, like disruptive brands. And I was the second part of a second panel that go on. And the first panel was the head of Casper, the bed company. And it was a one-on-one panel with him. And he's talking about, in 1 year, they're what they called it a unicorn, which I didn't know what it meant at the time. And it's billions of dollars of value. And they've got offices all over the world and just doing amazing. And I just remember thinking, I got to go on after this guy. And I got up there after this guy and I'm like, look, that's amazing. And if you want to hear that story, I got nothing. I got nothing. You know, I can't relate to it. I don't get it. I don't know how it's done. I don't know how to raise billions of dollars. But it sure sounds like everything's just amazing, but I got nothing. What my story is, I lost everything. It sucked the first few years. You know, I've been doing it for 22. It's been fantastic for a long time. It's still hard. So that to me is just, it's real. It's what I relate to.
Yeah, I feel you, because sometimes when you follow that, you're like, why did I get asked to do this? Because I'm not that person.
Oh, and I feel like and you know what, Jeanne, I felt like crap. Like, why am I here? Like, this guy is just killing it and it's amazing, but who knows? Maybe it's not. Maybe he just wants to put that front up and maybe it's whatever. But I just remember thinking, all right, I can't pretend. I'm the same thing. And Ace of Spades was amazing. D'Ussé is amazing, but that's not how I got there.
Right. Let's talk about your biggest challenges. You talked about, being in foreclosure. Lord knows that had to be the scariest shit in the world. I had one audit in my life and I never want to talk to the IRS ever again, not even secondhand through my accountant. I mean, like, God bless I pay my taxes because I don't want to know them like that. But what are some of your biggest challenges because I remember reading about your first brand actually folded. And we've been talking a lot about failures. What's the thing that keeps you coming back? I think I know the answer to this already, but I'm interested to know, like, where your biggest challenge ranks on this list of failures, and what's the thing that helps you to recover from it, because failures can often be emotional.
Yeah, I guess it's a couple things. One is my first brand, there was nothing wrong with it. I just didn't, it was an amazing brand, but everything I said I didn't do then that I'm doing now, which is believing in the brand and pivoting constantly and not having a plan and just kind of feeling your way through it. And I bought my way back then. I don't do that now. Or I'm chasing the number one, the biggest artist or the biggest, and that's not what I do now. So to me, it's come full circle. So it's constantly learning that side of it. I think there's a different challenge, which is for me is, if I use Ace as an example, I wish I had tons of money, but I didn't. So me selling Ace is a way to get to the next level of doing more brands. So in essence, like, the hardest thing I've ever done is selling a brand, because in the perfect world, I wouldn't sell anything. But in order for me to keep going to the next level of more employees and more brands I need money. So it's almost like cutting off your arm and now you're stronger mentality. So it's different types of struggle. But I think that the biggest thing that drives me today is I constantly, there are haters out there. There are people who don't believe in you. There are people who don't believe in the brands. The next brand is my success. Like, I'm driven for the next. I want to prove people wrong. It's going to work. Don't worry. There's no rush. We'll get there. Like, it's not supposed to happen fast. Brands take time to build. Like, I like the fight. As much as Belaire is enormously successful, that's easy now. I want the young brand Villon, which is our newest brand, to be, give it time. We'll get there. Don't worry.
Nice. I like it. But at least what motivates you too, because I think so. Just like we've been talking about as a thread throughout this whole thing, and knowing yourself and knowing what the thing is that you need. Sometimes it's hard to find that, and to know that, and the thing you think you're chasing isn't actually the thing that motivates you, which is a little sad.
I think, again, everybody has their demons. I
For
look at
sure.
it as, I could say just the opposite about things I'm saying, which is, Jesus, if anything, appreciate what you did, appreciate what you have, appreciate the success of Belaire, appreciate the success of Bumbu. Those are my demons. I have a hard time doing that. As much as I said about Rick Ross, boy, or me, because I'm that way. I want Eddie. We had a big article about the company and me in a magazine, and I'm past it. Just happened.
The one in Rob Report?
Yeah, the Rob Report.
Yeah.
Just great.
That's fly, man. Like,
but to me, it's okay. What's the next thing?
right.
What's the next thing? So I can also beat myself up and say, Jesus, that's not healthy. Embrace that. Embrace what just happened. Own that. I have a hard time. Boy, do I have a hard time doing that.
Keep working on it, Brett. I'm rooting for you on that one. And speaking of that Rob Report article, I read that your collectibles are quite interesting, including one of the original golden tickets from Willy Wonka.
No, not one of. It's Charlie Bucket's golden ticket.
Ah!
And for those of you who don't know, Charlie is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It's his golden ticket.
Get out, Brett.
So it's my favorite movie. I heard about this auction. I ended up getting it. It's amazing conversation with the director's daughter, who produced and directed the movie. Just amazing backstory. Love it. But the golden ticket to me is like, that just is life. That's just, the golden ticket is, everybody knows what that is and what that means. And, but yeah, I'm very proud of that.
And it also feels like it's emblematic of a lot of what we've talked about, and a lot of what, you're going for in life is that one golden ticket. Like, you keep looking for that golden ticket for each one of your brands.
You're 100% right. I don't know. It felt, what was great about it is, and if I own it, is the daughter who sold it, their family. She's like, I'm so happy that it's in your hands. Aww. Like that kind of feeling, because that's why I reached out to her. I wanted her to know like how special it is, and it is to a lot of people. But
especially our generation.
Oh yeah, it's 50. We're on 51 years now. It's 51 years, I think.
Wow, so that's as old as I am at this point. I thought that movie was newer when I saw it when I was a kid.
I think 1970, 71, around then.
Wow. All I remember is the Oompa Loompas, and I was like, when they gonna have a golden ticket for us? Like, where is this place?
And what I asked her was, and it's a funny story, if you know the movie well, at the end of the movie, Gene Wilder, he gets mad. And I remember to this day when I watch the movie, it's kind of scary.
It is.
And I wanted to know, like, boy, how did that happen? And she told me this backstory, and it was just, Gene Wilder felt it should come across this way. And it just, I loved it. I love Gene Wilder. I'm a huge Gene Wilder fan.
Well, you know what, too? I also think that that's one of those movies that is a reflection of the ethos for Gen X. Like, our generation is particularly unique, I think, in the way we developed and the way we look at the world. And a lot of it was shaped by some of these movies that reflect the things that we came to be. And
oh gosh, my wife to my kids will say, stop being Veruca Salt. If you remember Veruca Salt, one of the kids, so there's characters there amongst all of them, and it's still relevant today. You're right. You're 100% right. Those characters are still relevant today, and on who people are and how they act and how they are.
Okay, I got a few more questions for you as we wind down here. When I say the words fearless authenticity, what are the first things that come to mind for you?
You can't care, not in a bad way. You can't care about anybody else. You gotta be true to yourself, fearless. And I think of my mom when you say that. You gotta just, it's doing the uncomfortable. It's doing the uncomfortable, because if you can do that, you can do anything.
Oh, love that. What is your proudest achievement and what do you still dream of doing?
Um, Proudest achievement. That's a good one. Uh, Putting aside my family, let's leave that a second. I think in business, it's the next brand.
Yeah.
It's. I've said this before, and again, I'm that same person. I had lots of ideas. Ideas don't mean anything unless you execute them. So it's just executing. It's feeling good that. My latest one is Bel Air Blue. If you've seen this,
I've seen it and I'm confused, Brett. So talk to me about Bel Air Blue for real quick.
so it's blue. It's
Uh-huh.
blue.
Is
The
it
liquid's
naturally blue?
It's
Like,
blue. It's blue. It's blue. And this is as an example is about execution. It's it's a great brand, completely unique, completely different color, completely different unique taste. And if I listened to everybody, this wouldn't exist. If I trusted my instincts, which I did, in getting this out, it's probably the single hottest wine or spirit in the United States.
let me make you laugh real quick because when I first saw blue, that they back in this had to be the early 2000s. There was some kind of prepackaged, I think it was a Bacardi thing. I still to this day don't know what the name of it is because all we called it was blue. It had blue curacao in it, I'm pretty sure, but we just called it blue and we would go pick up some and it would be our pre-gaming thing. And that summer was one of the best summers I had. And I look at that blue and I go, oh, it's blue. Blue is back.
And but again, uh, it's about executing because it could either have worked or it could not have worked.
Right.
And to me, this shows my team is great, the people behind it are great, the liquid's perfect, the color is impeccable. It's like a supermodel. It makes you look good. But that feels good. There's no question.
It's pretty. It is absolutely pretty, and I will give it I will give it a shot, sir.
You'll
I
love it.
will. My final question that I always ask everyone: when do you feel that you are at your best, truest, most authentic expression of Brett Berish?
Oh, it's around my family. It's every day when I'm with them. I dress the way I want. I am the way I am. It's an argument I have with my wife. My slogan is "Let me be me." It's around them. The key to life is, and again, is to try to take that best moment and make it every day, and make it everywhere you go, and make it everything you are. For me personally, it's a hard thing to do, and I'm learning, and I'm getting better at it. But I think it comes with confidence. It comes with gut. It comes with fearlessness, like you said. It comes with trusting who you are, being comfortable who you are. But those are all, as I think about it, those are all tall orders, Jeanne. Those are tough. But it starts with close family and friends.
Brett, I hope to become one of those folks. You have inspired me today. Thank you so much. And also made me feel good about my journey as an entrepreneur. And I am grateful, super, super. I don't even know if you know how deeply grateful I am for these moments right here today. Thank you.
And we got to drink at the same time.
Brother, cheers again.
Cheers, everybody.
So talking to Brett is like going to entrepreneur school, and the fact that he's so honest about the ups and the downs for him really, really touched my heart. And there was a nice dose of fearless authenticity, Brett style, on top of it. And here's some of what landed for me. The first thing is something I talk about all the time, is knowing who you are. The other piece of it, accepting and owning up to and trusting who you are. I think it goes to this idea that, we're here to do something. And when we get to know ourselves and trust ourselves, that we have that path and we're on it. and to keep moving forward in that and not on somebody else's or what they want to do for us, that's how we know we're going there. And that ties right into what his dad said about you can't buy cool. You cannot pay your way into success. And everything is about, trusting that journey, trusting that you will fail, but learn from it. And he talked about, the part that hit me was talking about knowing when he didn't trust his gut, that he was wrong, and that he was trying to conform to what everybody else said, and it wasn't right for him. And that was why he failed. And then still learning from that. That's a beautiful full circle thing. And the lifelong learning, the idea that we are always still learning, no matter how much success we get. It is powerful to keep learning, to keep making mistakes, and to keep tweaking all of those little plans and those bad ideas into something good and get your inspiration from that. And then the part about not having a plan being a good plan. Lord have mercy, if that didn't speak truth into my life. When the brand is done, he doesn't know what he has until he puts it out there. And that sometimes you got to just go with it and see how it all comes together, because you can make the plan and then the plan will still fall apart. And then this last little piece, fearless is doing the uncomfortable. And if you can do that, you can do anything. And I'm going to just let it stand right there. Thank you so much, Brett Berish, for sharing with us and for being my guest today. I also want to thank you, my Fearless Authenticity people, for listening and watching. Thank you to my Fearless Authenticity production team for making this podcast happen. Please follow us. I'm at JM Sparrow on all social media. Like, rate, review, download, subscribe, and share wherever you get your podcast. And also watch us on YouTube if you want the video version. And please send us your comments, your questions, ideas for guests. We want to know what's on your mind. And we love hearing from you. So thank you so much for all of your support. This has been Fearless Authenticity with me, Jeanne Sparrow. We'll see you again soon.